Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Happy at Home session today. My name is Alice Bowl, and I run the membership group at scraphappy.org. And I would love to welcome you to today's creative session. That is what these Happy at Home sessions are all about. It is about getting crafty, playing with our supplies, feeling a little bit creative. And today is definitely part of that. So you might be wondering, what's Alice got up her sleeve today? Well, I was wondering that too, until I came across something that I've been wanting to do for a little while, and I thought we should talk about that. But before we do, I like to tease you just a little bit. Let's review a little bit about yesterday. So yesterday we played with the Simon Hurley stamping foam a little bit, and I cut it down into a square size so that I could create more of a grid type pattern on my background paper for my scrapbooking, right? Because I had only played with individual images, and this time I wanted to play. We also used money as the thing that we imprinted, and it turned out so good. So this was the background paper that I was able to tile out yesterday with the money, and I think it looks super cool. If you look up close, you can actually see the little images like the pineapple and the sailboat. You can see the little starfish. You can see there's fish on some of them. So it's really, really cool how detailed the money was. This was money from the Bahamas from one of the trips. That's why I used the kind of tropical water kind of colors for this paper. And I think that's just going to add to a really fun background for a holiday page that I make, hopefully in May. Now, today, I think we are going to do something that is a little bit different. We're going to actually build some scrapbook. Lindsay says, that turned out so cool. I was so excited. I definitely played a little bit with how much water I put onto the block and the inking a little bit. It turned out so fun. Today, we're going to play with a new page that was inspired by a class I took in the fall. So if you attended the scrapbook and cards today, Crop and Create delivered in November, then this is going to look a little familiar to you, but we're going to try something a little different. Sherry says, oh, fiddlesticks, I missed this. It was super fun. So the replay is up on the Scrap Happy channel. It is listed under the Happy at Home. There's a playlist there. So you can actually just go to the playlists and catch all of the replays. And after the sessions, I try to go in and rename them so you kind of get an idea of what that session was about and a little bit of fun. Teacher's like, can you show it again, please, Alice? Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, I'm just gonna move these other things aside so that I don't totally spoil today's surprise. Let's have a look right here. Oh, that's weird. It did that thing again. Oh my gosh, why did it do that thing again? Let's have a, no, it's gonna do that. Okay, so I'll figure out what that was, but the paper looks like this. So you can see all the lines. Obviously, I didn't line up all the stuff so it's perfectly seamless. It's definitely not a seamless design, but you can see the detail of the actual coins on each of the pieces. I inked them all a little bit randomly, and sometimes there was a lot more water spray, so you can see where it's a little bit white. That's where I usually had a little bit more water spray happening, but I love the overall effect of the page, so yeah, it turned out super good. Yeah, it turned out so cool. I agree. Let's see here. Let's this window options. Oh shoot, I had learned how to fix this, the size of the window. Camera effects, I think it was in camera effects. Oh, and oh, darn it. Yeah, Marcia says, I like that it's a little imperfect. Okay, So I want to find the actual thing that's going to make this show up. I have no idea why it resets itself. That is super annoying. I will find the little button that helps us get it all set up right. But in the meantime, we are going to, I'm going to show you this page that is our inspiration for today. So it's going to be small. I will find the way to make it bigger. So this layout right here, I've got it on a black background, so it's a little bit harder to see. This layout right here is one that I had made as a Scrapbook Live event, I think, and it was inspired by a it was a class from Scrapbooking Cards Today event, and the event gave us the option to it was a class from Nicole Nowosad. So she used a cutout from the background, and then she layered little pieces in the background. And I thought this was the funnest thing. I thought it was so cool the way she had us layer in the little pieces so you get different papers. Was it the pan effect? Yeah, it was something in here. I thought it was camera effects. That's what I thought it was. Oh, zoom and pan. It's doing it to the wrong one, but I figured it out. So it is this one and this one. Whew! Thank you, Debbie. That was good because I saw the right word. So thank you for that. That shouldn't have been so hard, and it should never have reset, but it did. So this is the layout, and you can see that I used my little scissors from Martha Stewart. I've got the little Martha Stewart multi-blade scissors. So let's see, it's showing on this camera. You got multiple blades so that you can fringe cut. And I thought this was really fun, but this is a winter page. And I want to do something that's a little more bright and colorful right now. So that is what we're going to work on today, is making a fun different design. Now we could do a different shape in the background. It doesn't have to be a circle. And I thought that I would pull out a couple of different options for making different shapes in the background. I'm really not sure. I might just go with a circle again. But I've got my cutting mat. I have my cutting system from Close to My Heart, and I have a couple of different options. So I have a really giant circle that I can do either the inner or outer. I think inner would be probably about right. But I also have these other like wonky shapes. So if you have a suggestion once you see my pattern papers, then go ahead. There's like a wonky circle kind of shape that makes like weird shapes, and then there is like a soft-sided star. It wouldn't make like a pointy star, it would make a soft-sided star. So those are some of my options. I do have some smaller circles as well, but I thought what we would play with is some of this fabulous paper from Vicki Boutin's Color Study collection, because it is so pretty, and so full of color. So my thoughts is that I will use this paper as my background and cut the hole in this so that when you're comparing it to this other layout where you see the florals here, that this will take the place. So you're going to see a lot of this, and I'll have this little circle cut out of the center, which totally be fun to use on another page. So note to self, I will have double use of that circle. And then I could use some other papers in the background. Now I was kind of thinking, like, can you see these stripes, how pretty they are? Now what if I laid those in the background and just added a little texture to that? I think this could be super fun. I think it's going to make a really fun little background. Diane says, oh wow, those are herb scissors. Oh, cool. I totally didn't even think about that. Totally, you can use them for herbs as well. I found these in the craft section, so just saying, like, I didn't find them in the kitchen stuff. But yeah, totally herb scissors. So if anybody can't find these, Gina says, oh, I love that color collection. I know, It's so pretty. So pretty. So this deserves, like, this fun idea, this fun layout idea deserves a chance to live in this beautiful paper from Vicki Boutin, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking. It needs that chance. Fun thing about this layout, I made this little pocket that opens on the outside so I could hide my journaling but still make it accessible on the page. So I thought that was also fun. We saw that already this month, but it still makes me happy. There's a lot of great papers in this collection. Could I chop up other ones? Sure, absolutely I could. But I don't think we're going to need to, although some of these flowers are great. Yeah, I got 2 sheets of this one, but like, look at how beautiful. We saw this paper already this month when I did some watercolor, like way back at the beginning of the month. I don't think it was day 1, maybe 2 or 3 or something like that. Early in April, we did watercolor where I made kind of like a really dark watercolor effect. It was inspired by this Vicki Boutin paper. Some great flowers here. Yeah, another sheet of the stripes. When I really love a pattern, I'm willing to get a couple sheets of it. And see, this would be fun. I could cut out this square in the middle. Then I'm going to lose some of the fun color effects. So yeah, I think we're just going to go with this. I think that it's going to be great. So we're going to use this one here as the background, and then this is going to be in behind. However, we're going to play with this and grunge it up a little and make it extra fun. I might need an extra background piece of paper too. Okay, so I'll show you my idea. And if you're going to play along, like, this could be super fun to play along with. Basically, you need a package with a few different sheets of pattern paper that have some fun patterns, something that you like. On one of them, it's going to be our front-facing paper, and then we are going to have stuff that's going to be underneath it, adding a little bit of fun and texture. So on the class that I did with Nicole Nowosad, she actually had us like tearing paper and making like torn paper effects. Super fun. You could do it with papers that aren't torn and have them in there. You can see I added like a little bit of texture with my fringe scissors. There's a lot of ways to add some fun texture to this. And so let's see here. Gonna just trim this off. I'm hoping I won't need all of this paper. I shouldn't need all of this one. And then I can have like a little strip of it for another project without cutting into a whole second sheet, because that would be fun. Wonderful. Okay, so with all of these circles, I think going with a circle makes sense, right? Going with a circle. Dion says, I just got here. Hi, everyone. I have 2 boxes of Color Study on their way to me. Loving this collection. I haven't even seen it in person yet. Like, isn't it beautiful? Vicki Boutin, like, 2 thumbs up and, like, 2 thumbs up, like, more. I'd like, I need more thumbs to say how much I love this collection. Okay, now, I'm thinking that if I did this behind the circle. Let's cut the circle and then we'll see kind of what my idea is. Let's cut the circle first. Now, I'm going to use the big circle on the inside, I think, because I want to add a little texture. So I'm going to put this actually in the center right here of my cutting mat, and then I'm going to place this in the center. Now, there are different ways that you can cut circles into the middle of a page. I have this collection from from Creative Memories, and it's a gazillion years old, but I heard they have it in stock. So if you're a Creative Memories consultant right now, post that in the chat, or I encourage you to check out my friend Karen Fitting. So go to photoskept.alive.com and you can get hooked up with Creative Memories stuff from Karen. And she's super sweet, and she always supports all of my Scrap Happy things. So wonderful person to support if you're looking for some Creative Memories products. Shout out to Karen. And yeah, I'm going to cut this. So we actually have 3 different blades These actually sit in this track. There's a little track that goes around here. So if Meredith says, woohoo, I'm a creative memories advisor. So go ahead. Like, I don't think you can actually type a proper clickable link, but like tell them what the link is and just say at this and, you know, like whatever, so that people can get a hold of you, Meredith. So this kind of sits in the track, and then you have your blade that sits a certain distance. Vicki says she's a I didn't know that all of you are creative memories advisors. So yeah, post your stuff. The green one is like a mid-range, and then the blue one is the furthest out. And I want to see as much of this paper. So I think I'd like to use the one that's furthest, so it's a slightly smaller circle. And Gail says she just brought home a bunch of color study yesterday, and that is so pretty. I know. I'm just like, I couldn't even get all of the stuff. I wanted the whole pack, like everything, right? But I couldn't even get it. They didn't have it in stock. I might have to get some more. But like, how many do I want that look the same, like from that same collection? It's always a consideration. There's so many beautiful collections that I'm going to fall in love with. It's hard. Okay, so one of the things, as I cut this circle, the inner circle is going to be perfect, so then I can take that and put that onto another page too. So it's all good. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this, and really important is just to not let your outer circle slide and move. So I like to hold it as good as I can to make sure that it doesn't get moved, and then go all the way around that circle. And it's not letting me pull this out. Okay. Oh, see, it made a perfect cut. Look at how gorgeous that is. So imagine this in the center of another page. That is so happening. Okay. I'm going to set that aside because now we have our fabulous paper. We have our fabulous paper right here. I'm going to move it up a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. I still have all this stuff. Look, this is like what happens on my desk. It just gets covered in stuff. That's okay. Here. You want to see a little bit more this way? Is that better? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so this can go down. This can go over there. And now we have this gorgeous background. And so I'm looking at two options. So I want to either put stripes in the background like this and have them vertical, or I'd like to have the stripes in the background and have them horizontal. But I don't just want to leave them as stripes. I really want to play with them. So what I'm thinking of doing is, yeah, I think they definitely have to be chopped. Now, I'm going to, I think what I need is a little bit of a black border around this. Won't that look good? It'll make all of the colors pop. Let's get some black paper. Okay, I found some black paper. So we're going to cut another circle just like we just did, but we're going to do this one with a slightly smaller blades. We're not going to use the blue blade. We'll use a slightly smaller blade, which will allow us to leave, when we layer this underneath this one, because this one will be bigger. Or did I do it backwards? Is that not going to work? If I did it wrong, that could happen. Did I think about this wrong? Yeah, I can't make one that's bigger than the blue. Oh, I should have done it with the green. What was I thinking? Not thinking. Okay, let's see. How big is this one? It's way too small. It's gonna be way too small. Okay, so I'm gonna do what I probably didn't want to do. I'm gonna cut this one again. It's going to be slightly imperfect, probably, but I think it will be okay. We're going to cut it again. Try not to do it like this. Don't do it what Alice did. Think about your math first. And, don't. So I'm just going to line it up as good as I can, and then I'm going to run one of the other blades around it. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. And then I'll have this cool little ring that I'll be able to use on a different page. So in the end, it's going to be great. Meredith says that I love using the jumbo circle cutter with my punches to make a giant circle with any of the creative memories punches. The jumbo circle cutter with her punches to make a giant circle. You need a different punch? Okay, I'm confused. I don't know if I understood what that was. I'm going to use the red one because that way if I'm a little bit off, it's going to be okay. I'm just going to try to hold this down really good. It's totally going to be fine, guys. I'm totally not worried, but I should have just done it right in the beginning. Okay, so, and see, I have this pretty colorful little circle here. Nice. Okay, so don't ruin that, Alice. Now, when I cut the black one with the blue blade, I'll be able to have it layer in behind here. Okay, we're on the right track. It took a minute to get there. See, but there's no mistakes. And what happened, because I did that, I will have this extra fun little piece to play with. So, you know, that's not a bad thing. Okay, so I'm going to set this in the center. I like to put them right in the center. Like you could try to offset them so that you're kind of saving some of the outside paper, but by putting it in the center as much as possible, I think it gives me the outside pieces or inside pieces. Like it gives me more options of what I'm going to do with these papers. Now, one thing that's going to become an issue is when I cut this one, if it's not lined up perfectly with this one, I will have to like adjust the outside edges. It's totally fine. I'll show you when we get there. Maybe I'll just be perfect and it won't be a problem at all. Okay. Don't use the same one, Alice. That will cause the problem. Okay, we're going to have this lovely mat. I am like having a hard time running this around here. This is textured paper. This is a basil. It probably came in one of my kits from the scrap room, which I love so much, but I don't always use the cardstock. So there we go. Now I have an extra little black circle, and this will layer in here. If it doesn't line up perfect, I might have to trim a little edge or something, but ta-da! Now I've got that little inner black line, so it's going to be good. Plus, it'll give me a little bit more stability on this. Actually, I lined it up pretty good. I did good. I did good. Meredith says, it's totally cool. Trust me. Okay, well, I'm going to do like, so using the jumbo circle cutter, like you're talking about this one, with her punches to make a giant circle with, okay, so I'm kind of curious. Maybe we'll have to chat on Instagram. You'll have to message me, Meredith, and be like, Alice, it's this thing. And I'll be like all excited after. Okay, so this looks cute, right? Looks cute, but I think this will be more fun if we play with it a little bit. So what I will end up doing is attaching this color piece to the black piece. It could be down a little bit, so maybe I will have to trim just a little teeny bit off the top of this paper. So what if I just stick it down right now? Let's just do that so that it's done. And then I don't have to worry about messing it up. I don't see a paper, like a tape runner here right now. Shocking. I can't find something on my desk. The look of the small, oh, I like the look of the small box. Yeah, having that little bit of line in there will just make all of the colors pop. She says she's going to post a picture for me, and she loves what I'm building. I think, yeah, it's just such pretty paper. It's going to be so lovely. Okay, so now I can place this on here. It's going to be perfect. Did I turn my paper? Probably. Oh, I so did. What did I do with this? Okay. I'm like, one way I do it, it will work out perfect. Okay. Now, I don't need a ton of stuff on here. I just need enough that's going to hold it. But I don't want it all coming apart either, so. This is the paper tape from scrapbook.com. I should throw like a little thing out here. By the way, this is my affiliate code if you're shopping at scrapbook.com. If you use my affiliate code before you go there and shop, it helps me out a little bit, so I always appreciate it. And it's also in the description on this video. So shout out for that. Thank you. Self-promotion. it's happening here today. Okay, let's pull these off. And I have to make sure I stick this down properly the first time. Otherwise, I'll be tearing up things, and let's try not to do that. So, I think a little peekaboo background like this is so cute. Okay, so I lined that up okay. But I can see that I've moved it again. I didn't turn it. I've held the yellow up at the top. So, okay, this is like Alice having like a moment, I tell ya. I'm just going to cut the extra edge off of here and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. But there we go. Look at that. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's perfect. It's just like I planned it. Yay, you made it! I'm so glad that you made it. Better late than never. Okay, so we're using a design that I first saw in a class from Nicole Nowosad. I couldn't find my class project. I don't know if I finished it, so maybe it hasn't made it into my scrapbook piles yet, which is highly likely. Class projects, I'm so bad. Lindsay says, I remembered to click the affiliate link today. I've only learned about them since joining Scrap Happy. Never knew they were a thing. Yeah, any of a lot of online creators that are like designers and making like different projects, a lot of them have an affiliate code. And when you click their code, you kind of get tagged in the system. And then when you make a purchase, a certain percentage of that purchase price gets credited back to that creator. So they kind of get like that a little bit of benefit. It doesn't cost you any extra. And the company takes care of tracking all that stuff. They're really good to work with. Scrapbook.com is wonderful. And, you know, it's a little bit of a boost in your bottom line at the end of the month, which I always appreciate. So I love this paper so much. I know that I could use a little extra of it, so I'm going to try to plan for this to kind of conserve a little bit of this paper, because if I can cut off like 2 inches of this, how good is that going to be on another page, right? So I'm going to plan for that right now, and I'm going to trim off, I think I've got 2 inches of it here, but let me just double check. I don't want to mess this up. So if I cut 2 inches off, I'll have plenty of space to work with. So I'm just going to do a 2-inch strip. I could probably do a little bit more, but I don't want to mess it up. Now, this side has a little less texture. This side has a little more. I'm going to pull it from that side, I think. Cool. But I got to put it in this way because that's the 2-inch measure. So I'm going to pull that off. Then I have this lovely stripey bit. These pieces where you have the stripes running like this across, those are so handy. So that's perfect. Now, the plan for me is to put this behind here, and I would like to create a little texture on this. So we're going to see how this goes. We're going to see how this goes. Be prepared to play. I love how you're saving here and there for future uses. Yeah, like if you only have so much of this paper, like when you cut a piece off, if you kind of know that you cut enough of it that's going to be usable, lots of times it doesn't affect the page that you're working on, but it really helps out the next one. And because this paper line is so lovely, I'm just going to want to bring more and more of the different patterns into it. So it lets me kind of plan for that. I started off as a very frugal scrapbooker. Like right now I have everything, or almost everything. It feels like I have everything. But in my early days of scrapbooking, I had such limited papers. I cut the backs out of every photo mat that I ever made. And, you know, it just allowed me to have that little extra bit. And now I might not do that for photo mats, but I still do it if I have a piece that I know is going to be I want a little bit more to that pattern or that color that matches just right, I still pull them out because I think that is good. So I'm going to plan to put my yellow at the top. Let's just commit to this, Alice. I'm going to plan to put my yellow up here. So I'm going to want this to be like this. And to add a little bit of texture, I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to place some horizontal cuts along those lines and then add a little texture along them. So that's what I'm thinking this is going to look like. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. It's going to almost look like I'm creating something where you could thread some lattice through, which would actually be another really cool technique for this. But, and who knows, maybe once I prep this, it's going to be like that. I would like to kind of know where this circle sits. I've kept this lined up. It's the same length. I could cut more of this off. In fact, maybe I should cut more of this off because then I could have that extra little bit of green as well. I get to cut another 2 inches off of there, right? Let's just do it. And then we'll figure out if that was a good idea later. But now I have that extra little piece of green. I don't look at it like stripes like this. Like I could totally use those stripes as well, but you know, I could definitely use that green. Okay, now with this, I'm going to place some cut lines across this paper, kind of at somewhat kind of intervals, and we will kind of see how that goes. I'm going to use my trimmer, and I'm going to not cut across the whole way, of course. I'm going to go in about like an inch or something from the edge and then run down an inch. So this paper is now 10 inches, so I'm going to cut from 1 inch to 9 inches, if that makes sense. And we'll just kind of line it up at a few different places and do that. So we're at about 1 inch down to 9 inches. And then I'm going to slide it over to another color option. And I'm just going to reverse that from 9 to 1. And here we go from and some of them will be sized a little different. Don't want to cut that from there. Don't want to run it all the way across. And I think we'll go right here. So there. Now I've got these like little slats kind of cut in this. Now it could be like a cool lattice effect, like that would be super fun. But I was kind of thinking of taking these scissors and trimming up the edges a little bit. So I'm going to have this laid in behind the circle. And then I wanted to have the little edges kind of curling up. I might have to put some different paper in behind it, but we'll worry about that after. Right, so I'm just going to take those little bits and curl them up. So I don't know how much I need to do. I'm just going to kind of trim across here and kind of go for it. Okay, so right now they're all sitting like really kind of even, right? They're kind of even. You want me to bring this down a little bit more? Is that better? So you can see, but they're kind of sitting even, but what I'll do as we go is I'll fluff them up a little bit so that they have even more texture. But there we can kind of see what's going to happen here, right? I'm going to have these all kind of feeling all textural. Yeah. Dion says she hasn't finished the class project yet either. So much to scrap in so little time. I have the base of it done, but I haven't added like a scrapbook picture and stuff. But I think it's like, it's pretty much ready to go. I did finish the work. So that's kind of the big part, right? Is if I can finish the work part. And I'm going to trim these up fairly far up. I don't want them to obviously cut through, but I'm going to trim them fairly far up. I just think this is going to be like a really cool technique. Now, at the edge, if I can't get enough slices on there, I can just take my little mini scissors. And if you don't have these fun, funky, like Martha Stewart scissors, you can totally do it. You just have to place like a million more cuts with your regular scissors if you don't have French scissors and if you wanted to try this, right? It's not like this is using a specialty thing other than the circle cutting. But if you have another system that can cut a circle on your page, like a Cricut machine or a Brother Scan and Cut or a Silhouette machine, and you can cut a circle, even if you don't have one of those machines, you can still cut a circle by hand. It may not have like the perfect little edges, but you can cut a circle. You can trace around a dinner plate. Honey, I've been there. Like, this is, you know, when you're doing creative scrapbooking, it's okay to like go back to like those roots of your scrapbooking. So the one thing that this won't have is texture overlapping some of the texture. Maybe, unless we decide to add more texture, I guess, right? That's always an option. We could always add a little more texture to it. But I think it might be okay. Even though that the texture pieces aren't going to kind of overlap, I think it's going to be okay. I just think it's going to look so cool. I want it to be something that's like fun, but not necessarily like a ton of work. I'll tell you, like making the one that I did in the class, it was a bit more work. This is, I think, like a simpler faux version of that one. Just these designs, like having the green and the blue and the yellow and just like the little lines through that blue like that. That's like, yes, it's so lovely. She did a great job with this paper collection. It is the Vicki Boutin Color Study for anybody that is not aware and has not seen this paper yet. Okay, I've got one more little space down here, and we'll have a look and see if I need to add any more. Maybe to the bottom, we'll have a look and see how that looks. Some of this will be hiding underneath the circle, and that's totally fine. Okay, so here we go. This is how it's gonna line up on here. Ooh, so fun. So fun. Okay, so have you done something like this before? Have you cut like a hole in the center of your page and layered something else behind it? Have you done that? I'm curious. Please tell me. I did find something yesterday. I found my foam tape, and we're going to use some of that so that we actually have a little more dimension between the layers before we apply this one to the background. But you will notice once I fluff these that I'm going to have to put paper in behind this. But let's just show a little bit of the fluffing part here. And I'm just going to take them and like bend them up and add a little bit of stuff, right? Now, one thing I do a lot when I do a fringe scissor effect is I cut the little pieces so they're not all the same length. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this. This almost looks like a piñata. I love it. Some of the little bits, like, right, when you get like those little store-bought piñatas. I used to love making them for my kids. I did the, you know, the paper mache on a balloon kind of piñatas for my kids. I loved making those for their birthdays. I did one like a Bob the Builder head, and I did a Dumbo head, and I did a, oh my gosh, I did one like a little pig. They were so fun. Spider-Man, we had a Spider-Man one. I'm like, anything that kind of has like a little head shape, I would turn them into a piñata for my kids for their birthdays. Fill them up with little treats. So fun. Okay, so there we go. This will be all textured up, And I'm going to look at this and decide if I need to have a little bit of extra little pieces cut into them. But we'll kind of just line this back up as here and see what we think. It's good. It's looking good. Now, do we want to put black paper in the background? That is a good question. Or are we going to put something else? I'm just going to pull this and hide it in the background for right now. I think having the black in the background would be good, right? I think that would be a good thing. Good choice. So, yeah, this looks good. Super fun. I still think I need to give some of these a little trim. So I'm just going to cut a few random ones that are a little bit shorter and just like super rando haircut. Don't do this with your bangs. I just watched a video yesterday and it was my boyfriend cut my hair. I'm like, whoa. Girls, you're brave. So this isn't necessary, but I think it's fun to add a little extra layer to it. And let's get a couple of these. Good. Got lots of little confetti pieces now. Little confetti pieces. Okay, so I'm not going to put this in the background because that would be a horrible, tragic waste. I will just get a simple plain piece of paper. It is just a simple black one to stick into the background. And that is what we're going to build this on top of. So that we have our texture. Okay. So where does this need to sit? So that I really like it. I need to pull this down a little bit more. I think that looks about good. Just need to make it straight from there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is make it straight and double check one more time. Maybe down just a little touch more. I think that looks good. So I've got just like a little tiny bit of the pink poking out at the bottom. Got lots of the texture coming in at the top, and it's really close to the bottom here as well. So now I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to mark this corner so that I know where that needs to sit once I take it off and tape it. Don't forget to give yourself a little bit of help. Okay, so this is going to come off, and I'm going to... Now, I just want to show you just for a second, like, if this was, like, the other way. See, it would look beautiful with a more solid in the background, too. If this is, like, wow, that's a lot of color happening there, Alice. It's okay, you can kind of, like, mute down your colors just by choosing other sides of the papers. But we all know that I like more color is just more color, right? More is more. Let's see. I'm going to tape these down, I think, because I think I'll like that is if they're taped. I'm going to put each of those down. And I'll do a little bit on the side as well. And yeah, so once I have all of this tape applied, it's tough when it starts sticking in your fingers. But this layout is like kind of like the base of it, like the fun stuff is pretty much done, right? We're super close to being done. Now I gotta pull these off of here. they get burnished on, it's a little bit easier to pull the tape off, and so I didn't burnish any of these. Just burnishing the one end of it where you pull them from. Just a little trick working with the paper tape when you're trying to pull the little papers off the back. I know, it's inconvenient, but it sticks so good, right? So, sometimes we put up with the inconvenience just to have like the good stick. And it's so easy to work with because you just rip it with your fingers. There we go. Trash. Okay. Now I want this to be straight. Please be straight. Line up straight. Line up. Okay. And stick them down. Ta-da! Okay, it's not even centered. Totally doesn't matter. It's in the background. Never going to see it. Then we're going to be putting this on top, and it's going to be so pretty. I think before I do that, I'd like to take a pen and just draw a nice little, like, sketchy line around the edge. So I'm going to do that before I lay it down there because I'll have too much texture to actually draw a nice line around it. Is this pen too thick? Nah, it should be fine. So, sketchy lines. If you don't like your own sketchy lines, then more of them. My tip is like 3 that kind of wobble together can be a really nice effect if you're worried about your sketchy lines. I think that's fine. I think it's just nice to have like that little wonky border. Let's put that back. Now I'm going to be putting my foam adhesive on here so that I have the center part kind of supported, and then we'll attach it onto this background. And I'm just gonna go around and support my circle. And then a little bit just in the corners to support the corners. You just don't want to have too many areas that are too wobbly. Right. This tape is pretty thin too, so it's not creating a ton of dimension between them, but it should be enough. Okay, let's stick those and then pull the stuff off. Because of the way this tears, this seems to be like really easy to remove. I never had a giant roll like this in the past, but I saw somebody using one. I'm like, that would be really handy. It really has been. It started off like at least like 12 inches wide, I think. Like, it was really big. And now it is much smaller, but it just means I've done lots of fun things with it, right? Let's see. Are my comments not scrolling? There we go. Holy smokes, this looks so cool with the color study. I agree. And this looks like a take on the class that Nicole Nowosad. Yes, exactly it was. And the only time I've done it on a layout is with Nicole in November, yeah. And I made a shaker a little smaller and put pics around it, says Vicki. Oh my gosh, like this would be fun with a shaker. So she was answering the question, have you cut like a hole in the center? Because I did ask that at one point. Sorry, my comments weren't uploading. It turns out they're all there. They just weren't showing me all the fun things everyone was saying. So let's get this lined up. Get this lined up. Get that lined up. Now I can press it all down. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. This is so adorable. Okay, I've used an X-Acto knife to cut my paper like you did with a trimmer, and then I added small photos for a timeline effect. That would be beautiful. I did a tree and a circle from Nicole's class. I love what you're doing today. Thank you. Yeah, it feels like a pinata. I know. Gina says, Alice, this looks so cool. I'm going to try for sure. Yeah, I framed the circle with the black when I cut like an extra layer of the black. Okay, so that is my background now that I can use to build my layout. So I'm probably going to print one photo. I'm going to make it a little smaller than 4x6 because, you know, I want to be able to see a lot of this. So probably 3x5-ish kind of size. And wouldn't a black and white photo be like popping on this? That way there's no competing with all of the amazing colors that Vicki has, or a photo where you make most of it black and white but pop one single color on it. I haven't done that in ages. I think it would be beautiful. Diane says, I can't wait to copy that. Please do, and show me because I would love to see. And then for this page, I don't have a lot of the embellishments that go with this collection, which is tearing me up. I do have these letters, but honestly, I think a black title on this page would really pop the most. So perhaps it will come from these fun words. You know, that sounds good. There's like an amazing, it says you are amazing, the details, happy memories, today was beautiful. So there's a lot of good sayings on here. Where did you get your jumbo roll? I don't remember. Oh, I'm trying to think. Will you be? Oh yeah, definitely I will add a title. I actually don't know what photo I want to put on here right now. I wasn't planning that far ahead. I love to just make backgrounds and then be like, oh, this is the perfect one for that story. But yeah, like something fun, good, beautiful. Will definitely, like, all of the vibe of these. Amazing. It's kind of like, it would be good for just amazing. Yeah, so I don't think these letters are going to make it onto this. I think that's like competition of color, but I think that these will be perfect. I think adding a black and white photo, and then I may do the thing. I may do some fussy cutting just to add like a few little details around that photo. Since I don't have like the die cuts and stuff, I literally couldn't get them. So, you know, if you got the die cuts, lucky you, consider yourself very fortunate. But there are a couple of different florals in this collection. So there are these florals, which I don't think are bright enough to go with this. I think they're just a little bit more on the softer muted side. These florals would definitely be bright enough, but they're feeling a little big. I want something a little, those are feeling even bigger, but they would work really good actually. So I'm not sure, maybe I won't have some little florals along the side. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to be scrapbooked, so I won't be finishing that today because I don't even have a photo printed. But this was the fun background, but I wanted to show you what I can do with some of the leftover pieces that I have cut as I was making this. So I've used 2 pieces of pattern paper for this, and I have used 2 pieces of cardstock because I used the black piece that went around this ring, which created an extra layer of support from my top, but I also used the black piece that went onto the bottom. So there's 4 pieces of paper that I have used on this. However, when I take a white piece of cardstock and then apply this circle into the center of this, it's going to be so lovely. And if I wanted, I could even take like a slightly larger black circle that I could mat it with, right? And use a little mat to make like a little black line. I would probably just take my pen and draw a couple of little sketchy circles around it to kind of make it feel finished. In fact, let's do that. Let's do that right now. And then I still have this extra little sketchy piece, which I probably wouldn't use on this page because it kind of fits too close, right? But imagine one that's more like this, right? With the little circle. See how those fit nice together? See, it's like all stuff. Gina says, I can't wait to see the layout all done. So one of the things that I'm going to do with these backgrounds that I've made this month during April is I'm going to use them for sure during my load challenge in May, because we are scrapbooking every day in May inspired by the Golden Girls. This is just, let me pop this up really quick. So it's called Live Golden. It is load 521. You can go to scraphappy.org/load to find out more, unless you are already I just saw Jackie's comment. She says, Alice, you could stitch a black line, haha, knowing that I hate stitching with a passion. That was a good one. No shade there. Yeah, so the Live Golden Challenge, inspired by the Golden Girls. Like themes with friendship, themes with, you know, looking back to the past a little bit, you know, picture it, Sicily, back in St. Olaf, maybe visiting some hometown stuff. We've got a few fun themes coming up for this challenge, so I'm really excited. Isn't this going to be beautiful? Okay, so I'm going to take the other ones right now, not this one right yet, but I'm going to take this one, I'm going to stick this down, and then I am going to draw some sketchy lines around it. And we are going to, I'm going to show you how this is going to be turned into a background that I will use. So that is what I'm going to do right now. I want a different size of pen. That pen that I used was like a 0.8, which was kind of really big, which was fine for on that like busy background, but I want something a little finer for this. So, in my bag that I took with me. Oh, I tucked them in here. That's what I did. I'm like, I had those pins. I tucked them in there. So I have a 0.1, a 0.3, and a 0.5. I'm thinking I'm going to start with the 0.3. If I want it thicker, I can go and take the 0.5. But I think that this is going to be good. Now, I kind of do want this centered. Does it look like I almost have it centered? Best question. Okay, let's stick her down. Oh, this black paper, so beautiful. I haven't even used it yet. I've used the other side. That's why I ended up with a couple sheets of it, because I saw this paper. I'm like, oh, I'm going to want to use that. And then I see this other side, and it was just too gorgeous. So I'm not applying a lot to the edges, because who knows? I might want to tuck stuff underneath those edges, right? And as long as this sticks down really good and it doesn't curl up, I'm going to put it in page protector, so it's going to be fine. Okay. Now, to center it. I want these little diamond things to be kind of vertical. That's what I was like turning it for, so that I can make the little diamonds vertical. However I choose to sit it, the diamonds should be vertical in my mind. In my mind, those should be vertical. So that looks pretty centered. Now, if I don't have it perfect, this next thing that I'm going to do is going to help disguise that. This might be a little bit too far up, but I think I can't move it now. So I stuck it down. It's great. Meredith says, I'm excited for load. It just overwhelms me. Every day is a brand new day. That's all, right? Like today you scrapbook, and then tomorrow you scrapbook. I think it's so cool you drew those sketches of the gals. Which sketches did I do? I'm like trying to think. So I'm just going to draw some lines around here. And it's kind of almost like a case of like the more the merrier. Because you'll find that some of them look nicer than others, but it's the combination of all of them that make them good, if that makes any sense. Now you'll see this didn't connect. I'm not worried. Chances are I'm going to cover it with some kind of little thing or doodad or photo. This is going to be a beautiful background. And I think that sketchy look, it's like so random, but it's so beautiful. I'm just like, I'm all over it. So that's going to be another background for me. So we've created this one, and I would like to test this one on a black background. So let me have a look really quick. Do I like it better on a black background? Having just that little thin line of color? Or do I like this better being put onto a white background? Or do I want to have this totally removed? Not so sure. I'm really not sure on this one what I want to do. And that's okay. That might be something I figure out later. I will keep the circle and like the other circle, I'll keep them with all of those papers because it's all part of it. I thought you said yesterday, oh, I did. Oh, I did. Okay, so you're like, you drew the woman. I totally did. I'm like, which did I sketch? These heads, I sketched those. I totally did. But it's kind of almost like a cheat. So I'm going to tell you my secret. So I use my iPad and I bring in a picture of the person and then I kind of traced around her head a little bit, trying to make it not look terrible. And then I did that. And I'd seen other people do similar things, but I thought mine turned out really good considering like I consider me like at the border of having art school. Or art skills, not art school. I have 0 art school, but I have the border of having art skills, and I was really impressed because like I can tell who those are. So anytime that works. Yeah, I love them. So yeah, these are my backgrounds for today. We made fun backgrounds. We used the Vicki Boutin Color Story paper. I can't wait to scrapbook on these. I think they're so beautiful. And hopefully this was fun. Totally Nicole Nowosad inspired, but it's kind of like, what else can I do with it? Now that I learned her fun technique, what else can I do to play with this idea? Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. If you wanted to sign up for that load challenge that we've been talking about, the Golden Girls, you can save $15 with the code podcast15. I think there's another code, but I don't remember it. So podcast15. If you didn't know, I do have a podcast. It is called the Scrap Happier Podcast. I just released an episode this morning, and it is all about adding titles. So if you saw our episode from last week, it will seem somewhat familiar, but if you just want to consume the content in a quick and easy format, then maybe listening to a 10-minute podcast, I think it's 11, would be the right thing for you. So check out the Scrap Happier Podcast. I would be so honored if you would give us a listen. Thank you so much for joining me for this Happy at Home. I hope that today just leaves you a little inspired. You're ready to play and do some fun things, maybe make some layouts. Diane says, thanks, Alice. Great class today. Very inspiring layouts. Yeah, I'm so excited. This is going to be fun. Gina says, on the black background with a black and white photo. I will take that into consideration because I think that's a good idea. So thank you so much. I will be back tomorrow for the 28th, April 28th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. This week is our last week of this, but don't be sad because right after this we dive into load and that's a lot of fun. So then we can do some more scrapbooking. Debbie says, great job, Alice. Thanks. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day. And if you'd like to get a hold of me, connect with me, Instagram is probably the best place. So check me out on Instagram at Alice Bowl. And I will see you tomorrow for another little creative session. Bye, everyone.